Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session. If you have any issues hearing us, there we go. It's a volume boost. Feel free to put your headphones or headset on so that you can hear us a little bit better. But hopefully it's all good. We're really excited about the session today. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for anyone who is live streaming. I don't know where the camera is. Somewhere. We're really excited about this session, which is all about family-owned and run businesses. For anybody who knows even a little bit about this topic, I know that you're as excited as I am about it, because this is an area where we often say, family-run businesses, they think in generations, not in quarters. They are naturally attuned to thinking about the long-term future. They're less wedded to profit, more wedded to purpose. So there's a lot of learnings I think that we can take from this, and we're definitely going to do that today with our amazing panel. For anyone that is joining us today, you're obviously interested in this topic, but I think maybe for some it seems like a niche and small kind of sector of the business world, but it's not. We know that family-run businesses make up 50 to 70% of global GDP, and top 500 family-run businesses contribute over $8 trillion to the global economy. They also employ up to 70% of a nation's workforce. So they're pretty significant, pretty sizable contribution. Not only that, but they have shaped and influenced cultures and nations. They're investing in the future. And I think it's fair to say they shift how we think about business. What is a business capable of? Lots to take inspiration from in our panel, which I'm going to introduce in a second, but briefly about me. I'm Joanna Lepore. I have been in the business world for almost 20 years, working inside of multinationals. Most recently, heading up Foresight for McDonald's, and prior to that, Mars Wrigley, inside of the US global headquarters. I am also an associated partner with the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, so deeply passionate about bringing foresight into the business world and helping organizations to think long term. I'm also a huge advocate for family-run businesses. I've worked many years inside of the Mars business, which is still owned and run by the Mars family, and have seen firsthand how they operate differently to a regular organization. Welcome to the family is something that I think we hear quite often when we start in a new business. But for any of us who have actually lived and breathed inside of a family-run business, we know that this hits differently. And our panelists today haven't just lived it or seen it, they are the family owners. So with that, I will say marhaba, tervetuloa, yokoso, hajimemashite, to our panel today, who is coming to you in Dubai from all corners of the world. I will let them expand more, but a quick intro around who you have in front of you right now. Mitsuharu Kurokawa, Mitsu, from Japan, is the president of Toraya Confectionery, a confectionery leader preserving Japan's traditions while embracing innovation. He represents the 18th generation of family ownership, starting off in the factory, then moving to France, leaving the business for a short while before coming back in 2013, ultimately taking the CEO seat in 2020. Adib Rashid, director of the Center of Family Business, whose mission is to help families build a better business future. His background spans advisory and institutional leadership, and he's had a front row seat to how family-run businesses evolve over generations. And then last but not least, Jussi Herlin, Executive Vice Chair of KONE Corporation, which is a global leader in creating sustainable people flow, which he'll explain what that means, in cities of the future. And he represents the 5th generation of family ownership. He's been involved in KONE as an active board member and inside of their global strategy team. So it's fair to say you have a very impressive panel in front of you here. So I will stop waffling on so that you can hear directly from them. And I want to throw the first question over to you, which I think is one that is on everybody's minds when we think about family-run businesses, and that is market volatility. It's all well and good to have a long-term plan, but when the market conditions shift and it's harder to operate and gain growth and success inside of volatile markets like we are experiencing right now in many categories and sectors, that can be challenging. But what we know of family-run businesses is that they are able to weather that much better. They are much more resilient and invest in the long term despite short-term volatility. So, Jussi, I want to start with you. How does the KONE Corporation do that? Keep your eye on the long term while the short-term conditions are challenging.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for the possibility. And I think this is the cue for the people who are running the slides that they can put in some of my, hey, there we go. You can, actually, I think I have the slide deck here. All right, I'll start with the one with the black and white pictures. Mind you, KONE is only 115 years, so the cameras were invented when KONE was founded, which is not the same as for Toraya, so probably the first gen of Toraya will not be in any photographs. And I have to start by addressing the elephant, the elevator in the room, because some of you already heard about it yesterday, and those who have been here have noticed that it can be sometimes a line to the elevator. Now, I want to say, as a representative of KONE, the company that installed said elevators, that I sympathize with your pain and the annoyance, and I rest assured that the elevators are working as hard as they can. But the thing with these fixed assets is that they can't add an elevator when suddenly they have a lot of people moving at the same time. So you could even consider that an interesting challenge for the spaces of the future, that how can we adapt the spaces of the future to different people flow scenarios. And that's the people flow, of course, that we're talking. It's getting people into different floors in the building or different areas of the house or the city. But on the question, Joe, so this is actually there are 4 global players and some regional players in our industry in the elevators and escalators, and they all have a family background. Some of them still have a family involvement, such as KONE. And if I wanted to sound confident, I would say that it's because of our family background that's why we've been weathering the volatility in the market. But to be honest, part of it is that the business model in our industry is actually quite resilient, because it has the volatile part, which is the building of new construction, but then it has a very resilient market, like a non-volatile part, which is the maintenance and repair of installed equipment. And now on top of that, there's a digital layer, of course, which is to increase the digital dimensions of all installed equipment to further increase the resilience. But the old joke is that for a family business, 1 quarter is 25 years, and thus it really is a very different way of looking at the world. I think we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into sustainability, so I'm just going to leave that in my pocket for now. But I think it really there's no magic to it, but just the patience to see beyond the cycle that you're in, and see beyond the crest or the bottom of the wave or the crest of the wave, instead of only seeing the next downhill or the next uphill.
Yeah, well, having that line of sight, that vision of where you've come from, where you're going, helps with that tremendously. And I mean, certainly an organization that's been around for over 500 years would have that really clear vision of where you've come from, a respect for past heritage, and a clear vision of the future. Mitsu, I'm really curious in particular with Toraya, how you think about innovation in the context of that, because I think innovation in a traditional business is about destruction, right? The creative destruction, get rid of the old, transform for the new. But inside of a company like yours, I can imagine there's a huge element of protecting and preserving the past.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, I'm Mitsu. So as Joe has kindly explained, I'm the 18th generation of a family business called Toraya, which is provider of Japanese sweets called wagashi. And we've been providing sweets to the royal family of Japan for over 400 years. So actually from the first generation to myself, we've been providing all the sweets. And just in terms of keeping of the tradition, we provide sweets for their annual rituals. So they have different rituals throughout the year. And for that, we provide the sweets which is in the same exact form as like hundreds of years. At the same time, we provide sweets to wider public of Japan. We have about 80 stores in Japan, and also we have one shop in Paris, which has been there for 45 years. And obviously, like because it's F&B business, like food and beverage, it's very important to have something very traditional, but then at the same time, we have to always innovate, because something that we consume is always been changing, and the techniques and all the ingredients would change. Because of the globalization, we have access to more of the ingredients from around the world, and we always have to keep it up. Some of the sweets that we make, we have been making from 200 years back, 300 years back. But and for these sweets, I always being asked like whether I make changes to the sweets. And for most cases, to be honest, not so much, because I myself is 40-year-old, and for some of the sweets, a lot of our customers has been eating since before I was born. So even if I wanted to make a change, and if I change, they will be not happy with it, because this is something of their something that they have been eating. But we always have to make new integration to the sweets. Otherwise, we are not going to keep it up to the more modernist society and all this. So for the new sweets, we always implement something new, and also teaming up with some other collaborators to implement the techniques that we don't have, so we can always evolve.
Right, and I think that's a really good point, that food and beverage, I mean, as a category, has changed so significantly. Infrastructure in cities has changed really significantly over the decades and centuries. And Adib, I know that you would have seen, even beyond that, other industries that you're assisting with in Dubai. These family-run organizations across various sectors adapt to the different conditions and new innovations that are coming out into the world. So how does innovation appear when you're talking to these organizations? How are they adapting with the market conditions around us?
Thank you very much, Joanna. I think in Dubai and the Middle East in general, families are relatively younger than European and Japanese families. They're going through this transition between one generation to the next, probably the second to the third maximum. But as you mentioned, they are very diversified. They work in multiple sectors. They are integrated into the economy, and because they have this long-term perspective, and the way they think is generations. They don't think in quarters. They need to be very agile in the way they do business, and they need to innovate constantly. And they don't look at innovation as a disruptor, rather as an evolution of what they built already. So they try to build on the legacy of the founders, the history they have, the relationship and in the community, and try to find ways to evolve based on the needs of the community and the economy in general. So they help the next generation to identify these opportunities that can integrate into their businesses and build on the legacy, the name, the history, the trust they built over years, and try to create new opportunities for them to participate and grow the business and grow the portfolio. Because the idea is basically how do we give this legacy or this wealth that was created by our founders to our children in a better way than the way they received it, right? So we need to be agile in the way we invest. We need to look at different opportunities in a different way. We need to constantly review our portfolio of assets and portfolio of investments to ensure that they are meeting the demands and adapting to the changes in the economy as a whole. Because what got us here will not take us there, because things are evolving very quickly, and the industries of the past 20 years are not the same industries of the next 20 years. So hence what they try to do is to empower the next generation to be creative, invest in new technologies, invest in new ideas to help them grow their portfolio of investment in the future.
Well, I think you touched on something there which is really interesting, that when you talk about different generations in the workforce, and we have 5 generations at work right now, if it's the founder or it's the the big boss, the CEO, in this case, it might be your father or your grandfather, right? Your great-grandparents' images are up on the wall. I'm sure that has a very different weight and potentially pressure to, preserve the pride that's held inside of the organization. Is that, how do you cope with that pressure?
Yes, for my family, it's always one person in the generation who's going to be in the business, because if you want to split into 3 siblings, this is actually flies. Into for 18 generation, it's going to be the population of Japan, so you have to kind of cut that line. And for me, I was born into this family, and also I always it's okay. I sent the revised version, but sorry. So these are some of the pictures that we have for our suites. And having all these 18 people behind me is something that's pretty deep, actually. Because as a boy, you always want to be the best, and it's not only actually 18 people, but out of all the people that sort of kind of there. But at the same time, every single generation has achieved so much before. So I always have to kind of strive to be better than the before generation. But at the same time, there's always something new that's happening in the world, which the before generation has never experienced. So there's room in which I can strive. For instance, for me, I studied outside of Japan, and so that I'm going to be able to speak in English. And so these Japanese crafts are very unique and particular. So for instance, the one on top, we have the sweets since this book is since 1695, and we still make the sweets on the left, on the right, and this one in the middle is from 1707, and yes, we still make it. And so these traditions that we keep, but we always try to make new changes in terms of the pictures. Sorry, I cut down the pictures, but I had the previous slide here installed. I should have checked before. On this slide, in the little boy is my grandfather, and on the right is my great grandfather, and on the back is my great grandfather. We have a shop in Paris for 45 years this year. We make new changes always. So before we sticked our sweets into very basic Japanese sweets, but now we team up with a chef in France, so to be able to create something new, which before generation has not have done. These are the shops that we have in Akasaka and Ginza. You can see. And yes, again, so this is the last slide, but this sweets in the middle, we have it since 16 35, and it's this sweet. The name of the sweet is called Yukimochi, which is literally means snow mochi. Snow, if you know mochi, and we use seasonal potato, which is like completely white, and it actually the texture melts as snow. And in 1635, these people back in the time has made this sweets, which is in the season of snow, which is like white colored and texture as snow and melts in the mouth. And it's pretty amazing how like after 300 years we are still making these sweets and trying to like resemble the sentiment that has been passed on for generations. And this has always the hint of bringing things in the future. So maybe when we make sweets, we always think about, okay, in after like 300, 400 years, people in that living in 300-400 years later would appreciate these sweets or not. It's like something that we really think about.
Can I jump on that actually? Because this is a good example of a very fascinating and interesting point, especially for companies with long traditions, but who still want to be leaders in their industry. And it is sort of maybe the question is that to what are you dedicated? What is your DNA? Because you can say that your DNA is this certain confectionery item, but then what happens if people no longer want to eat that one? Then so it's maybe better to. It's the same with us. Is our we are not dedicated to steel boxes with steel cables because it might be that those things that some technology will come and make those obsolete. But so we have to be dedicated to something else, such as people flow, which I mentioned earlier. So I think that's a more resilient thing to build your heritage on, is how to make sure people can move around in buildings, or in your case, the sort of the idea of confection. And I'm sure if it might be that you have these stories where you've made something for 400 years, but then people don't. Like it doesn't sell anymore, and then people want something else. So this must be kind of challenging moments when you have to let go of something that you've been doing for a long time in order to create something new.
And I can imagine that the Japanese culture and the way of thinking really feeds quite extensively into what you do. I mean, this is often raised when we talk about Japanese organizations. You have the highest number of companies that have been around for a long time. The oldest company in the world is in Japan. Japan also has this kind of aspirational view of the future as being imagined with the past. And obviously we see this in the United Arab Emirates as well. The future is something to welcome, is kind of the sentiment. And then the Finnish culture, and you can correct me if any of this is wrong, is very much about a collective future where we take accountability and responsibility together for building and creating something new. So you see, I'm really curious, I know that you're a global organization, but how does that kind of Finnish mindset about the future feed into your organization?
A good question to which I don't have a simple answer. About the sort of Finnish culture, there's a very, I think, strong sense of collective identity, and it's still, I'd say, a culture and a society in which we work on the same fact basis, for example, and this is not a given in today's world, and that there is actually quite a reasonable amount of, for example, dialogue between different political entities and fairly low, I'd say, or non-existent class structure. And I think this starts from the education, that it's quite an equitable basic education. I'm not saying that there aren't income differences or political differences, but I think that there is still this sort of fairly cohesive society. And I guess part of that is also in the DNA of us, of KONE, as we hail from Finland, even though, like you said, it's now we are a global company. And about this sort of idea of how do you create cities that last, or create buildings that are future-proof, or ensure that the societies in which you operate are future-proof, I think that we should not, and not just us, but none of us should let ourselves off too easily with the challenge of how can we align our business interests with the planetary interest, for example. How can we create a business model that can work within the planetary boundaries, which is a very, very solid and robust scientific framework of thinking about the planet on which we still all happen to live, the basket in which all us eggs are. But for example, if we had never signed up to the science-based targets for carbon neutrality in 2030, we may not have then put ourselves or put our innovation unit or given them such a challenge of like how much can you reduce the amount of steel in the product, which we have now done actually quite significantly in the last couple of years. But there's always this sort of the unknown unknowns, how much you can innovate if you set a bold ambition for like a societal or environmental ambition. It's like you set the goal and the pathways, they tend to find themselves, or the roadmaps tend to be, we can form those afterwards.
I think you can always question what you're doing, if the goals that you're setting is right or wrong. But I always think that in the end, you have to trust yourself. You trust your judgment, and in doing what you're doing for our business, like we were trying to renew the building because our earthquake-proof law has changed, and we demolished the building to build a new one. And for that, we instead of building a high-rise building, we decided to, in the end, keep it lower. This decision was to show the society. Although we are not such a gigantic company which can completely change the society, but still, we can show how we can impact the society with actions. So by usually, if you think about in economic terms and try to gain as much profit as possible, I would be building as high as possible, and so to get more tenants and get more money. But then in our core value, it's not that we want to make money, but we want to keep what we're striving to make the best sweets as possible and to provide it and share it to the society. So that's not necessarily about making a lot of profit. And when we do it, even if we build a low-rise building, I don't think it can change the world. But at the same time, by having that in the center of Tokyo, where all these other buildings are higher, but we built it lower, I got a lot of compliments saying that, it's a really great decision that you've made or we've made. So I really think actions that you can make to impact the society, to have a future sustainable future is very important, and you need to trust yourself.
These are higher level goals, and I think what's really interesting about this is that there's a concept here that you're making the right decisions or better decisions ahead of the most potentially profitable decisions, at least short-term profit. However, what we know empirically is that a family-run business does actually outperform from a profit perspective. So these decisions are actually equating to a higher financial return. So just to quote two studies, the Credit Suisse study that showed that family-run businesses outperform non-family-run businesses by 55%. McKinsey did a study looking at the best performing family-owned businesses versus the best performing non-family-owned businesses, and they performed 3 times better. So the financial return is also there. I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense because you have this alignment between long-term vision and purpose with short-term decisions that are better for the business and for society. So I'm curious, Adib, how do you instill that kind of confidence into the family-run businesses that you work with in Dubai? Because obviously this is a huge component of the Dubai vision of the future that you're helping to drive. What kind of aid or resources do you provide them to make that happen?
Yes, so in 2022, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid issued a decree to establish the Dubai Center for Family Business. And the main objective of the center is to ensure the continuity and sustainability of family businesses in Dubai because of their, pivotal role in the economy of Dubai and the contribution that they have to the economy of Dubai. There has to be a center where they can reach out to help them learn more about the ways to establish good governance, to train the next generation family business leaders to be able to be the future leaders of their own family businesses. So in order to do that, since our launch in May 2023, we try to focus first on awareness building. So how do we help families understand the risks and the challenges they might face in the future, help them meet with international family businesses that went through the journey and faced some of these challenges, and what did they do to be able to overcome these challenges, and also equip them with some tools to help them start the journey. So we launched several toolkits on our website to help them read about, for example, what is family governance, what is corporate governance, learn about how to establish the family office, for example, to manage the personal wealth of the family. Also, we have what we call the Family Business Governance Maturity Assessment Tool, which is a tool basically the family can go online, answer some questions, and based on their answer, they would get a report to tell them where do they stand in terms of the maturity versus their peer group, and what are the gaps, and how they can overcome these gaps by implementing certain actions. So an action plan or a plan of activities that they can implement to improve their position. In addition to that, what we try to do also since our establishment is to train the next generation and develop their skills to be able to become not just good business leaders, but good family business leaders, how they can be unifying the family towards working towards a common vision. How can they lead the family as a collective, not as individuals? So we launched several programs. One of the programs is in collaboration with Mohammed bin Rashid Center for Leadership Dubai. So this program is 4 months long. It includes sessions in Dubai and sessions internationally where they can interact with international families, and they work with leading universities that focus on family businesses. The second program is for younger family members, so those who are from 20 to 30 years of age. The idea is to explain to them what does it mean to be a family member in a family business, what is my role as an individual, how I can contribute to this family, if I want to start my own business, how I can start my own business, if I am put in a position to sit on a board, for example, how to be an effective board member. And in order also to make sure that the ecosystem in Dubai is supportive to family businesses, we launched a certification program for advisors who work with family businesses. So in many cases, family businesses work with multiple advisors, accountants, lawyers, bankers. They might be very skilled in their own industry, but they don't see the bigger picture. So sometimes they can give you the best legal advice, but in the process ruin the relationship between the family members. So what we try to do is to give them a certification that provides an overall, holistic approach to advising family businesses that takes into consideration the family relationship, the family dynamics, as well as the technical aspects, so they can provide the best advice for the families. We also work as advocate for family businesses in Dubai. So we interact with family businesses on a daily basis. We share with them, proposed legislations, get their feedback and, input to these legislations, and put forward some suggestions to the government to, modify or improve some of the legislations to make sure that the environment is supportive for them to grow and prosper as family businesses in the future.
Beautiful, and it's great to know that those resources are created, tailored for them, and I'm sure that there's a lot of Foresight methodologies that just naturally feed into that. Which leads me to my last question that I have for you, and I'm then going to open it up to the audience because I know you guys probably have some great questions. I already asked Jussi about the space elevator, but you're welcome to ask that question if you like, which is about Foresight. So obviously Foresight and Futures is about not just the future, but also about the past, which obviously family-owned organizations do weigh carefully and with respect. The present and making the right decisions right now, and then having that line of sight into the future. So it feels very natural the way that Futures and Foresight might feed into an organization. What I'm curious about is specifically how do you feed in potentially Foresight methodologies, tools, Futures mindsets into your organizations from a day-to-day perspective. Jussi, maybe I'll start with you.
By the way, the space elevator is just out there, you can ride it. It's the big one that, some of you are nodding. You've been to the space shuttle already. It's pretty cool. If you haven't done it, start from the lobby and go to the 7th floor. It's pretty cool. Foresight. So we have a Foresight. We have a small Foresight unit at KONE, which is combined with our strategy and market intelligence as unit. And I had a short stint in the operative organization myself in the global strategy team, and we did some Foresight studies on also the future of cities. And sort of going back to the first question that we have to attach, or not the first question, but like what I said earlier about what do you attach yourself on to weather volatility, and maybe also what do you attach yourself on so that you don't get weighted down by the tradition. The weight of tradition is to recognize the mega trends. For our industry, we are in a fortunate situation that the mega trends of urbanization, which is, it's more than just going from rural to urban, but of course, that it's much more than that, but it is happening it's sort of happening at a predictable trajectory. The demographic change, which by the way, I think we've all been surprised a little bit at how quickly our fertility rate is going down, and they've had to adjust the sort of population peak from 2110 to now it's like some say it's 2060 or 2070. So it keeps surprising us that way. But still, the demographic change is something that's a little bit more predictable. So we're going to have more older people, fewer younger people, which means we're going to need more accessibility solutions. Digitalization, I don't want to go into because that's like it goes into 100 different directions. But clearly, that is one way to go. And then the sustainability imperative, it's not the greatest, we're talking about like profitability over purpose. So there's that old one cartoon where there's a boat that's half sinking, there's a hole in one of them, and they're scooping out the water, and then there's some people sitting in the other end like, whew, I'm glad that the leak is not in our end of the boat. So we're all in the same boat. So if one end of the boat is leaking, we're all going to be in trouble. So it's not great to be the best performing company when there's literally nothing there's no playing field left. But I think that really the most important point is that tradition, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or 100 years, or 500 years, it's very important to sort of understand what it is and what it isn't. And what I think it is a wealth of trust. People tend to trust tradition. Many of us were traditionalists, at least somewhere deep inside of us, inside of every one of us, there's a conservative or someone who likes to respect tradition and then who respects things that have tradition. But we cannot be let that define us, because if we never reinvent ourselves, we'll very quickly not be relevant anymore. And there are many of these examples of companies from Kodak to Blockbuster, and these other, Nokia is one of them actually, even from Finland, who at one point they were stuck on what they knew best, and then they got disrupted by someone else. So it's just, I think, the sort of healthy paranoia about, if you think you know everything about your industry, someone should slap you, or there should be a little alarm going off in your head.
So again, like tradition is good because it's something that you can pass from generation to generation, and like something that our like grandparents' generation or before enjoyed, we can still enjoy, and that there is like some kind of sentiment. And for our sweets, as you saw somewhat, you can kind of tell that it can be unnecessary. we don't have to like have that kind of cultural sweet or historical sweet or something that represent the seasons or whatsoever. So why do we make it is the very important question, I think. I mean, the best answer, one of the thing is that to make the best tasteful, delicious sweets, but I think it's about what makes human. So at the session today, at the first session, I was listening, and so they were talking about how AI is there, robotics is there, and robotics with AI, like a lot of things that we do can be replaced. And so what makes human is about the sentimental connection and communication between people is what I think. So in the morning I had a breakfast and there is a little flower on the table. That is it necessary or not? Like it can be not necessary. It doesn't have. We can still eat without having a flower on the table. But then because the flower is on the table, we feel the sentiment of somebody who prepared for it, for you to have a better time. And these kind of little intimacy and also personalization of action of one to the other is what makes human, is what I think. And that's what's one of the most important thing when we make sweets.
Beautifully said. So is it fair to say then that Foresight feeds into how you think about a vision of the future and your role?
Yes, so it's like something that I have now is something that people in the past has given to me and us. So I want to pass it down in the best possible form to the future. But as I said, because of the globalization and changing of whatever we consume from past to the present, so the people in the future might not like something that we eat now. So that's something that we always have to think about for the future. Like what can it better for our children's time, and it's very important.
Super focus, Adib.
I once met one of the oldest European families. They were, I think, in the 7th generation, and one of the family members who were leading the family business at the time said, I don't want to be the generation that buried the business. So I always think of handing the business over to the next generation in a better way than I received it from my father. And I want to make sure that I don't do anything that would jeopardize this legacy and history, and make sure that I am not the person who destroys all this legacy. And so it's a big burden to carry over your shoulder, 18 generations.
Yes, it's true. Like I actually do think that way too, but I always also think, my father always says that there's nothing I cannot change. Like I can change everything I want, but like once, like as a family business or any other business, I think. But when you receive and when you have the responsibility, that means like somebody has passed it to you. So you should be able to make your own decisions. So. In the long run, it's very tough to say sometimes. If you look at Taj Mahal in India, maybe that kingdom has died because of the king building Taj Mahal. But afterwards, that has definitely enriched India, and it has been fulfilling in India for a long time. So you never can actually tell at that moment being sometimes. I mean, not that you can just destroy whatever it was passed on, but.
And this is, can I quickly just jump on that? This is something that I think about, this the term of ownership, right? I mean, when you own something, getting a little sort of into deep waters here, but bear with me, is that, the ownership is that, you have the right to use something, you have the right to decide what you do with something, including destroying something. If you own a car, you probably wouldn't, but you can technically destroy your car, and because it's yours, you can do it. So I almost feel like I would like to understand if there's a word in some language for this term of ownership that we've been talking about here, which is that you become the legal guardian of something. It's a company, and it's all the traditions and everything that comes with it. It's all the jobs and the economic citizenship and the corporate. You're in charge of all of that as an owner, but essentially you never feel like, oh well, finally no, I can just dump it all in the trash. Maybe some people decide they can sell it, but this sort of ownership doesn't really incorporate the right to destroy what you have. It's the right to hold it, and the very clearly, but implicit, but very clear responsibility to improve it, so that what you receive and then what you give on to the next generation, that this is somehow a little bit better or a lot better than what you received.
Yeah, and that actually echoes a point that we heard in the morning session from a government perspective, where we don't own the future, we're guardians of the future, and I think it comes to life in the same way inside of the private sector. With that, I'm going to hand it over to the audience. We've got some questions, and I'm hoping we have time for questions. Maybe one or two? Yep. Green jacket.
Thank you very much to the panel for everything. We've focused on the business of family business and on the relationship between family and business. Can we just look to the family for a little bit? Because if we have 5 generations in the business, then we have 5 generations in the family as well. And maybe share a little bit of lessons learned, best practice of this cohort of family in the family business.
So for me, I have 2 older sisters, and again, as I said, there's only one person in the generation for our family. That's actually also pretty similar to a lot of Japanese traditional family businesses. One person kind of takes it. But so I think it's very good because for me, I have a very good relationship with my sister. But when it comes to work, we can fight, and to the point where we cannot even think straight. So family is more important in one way, so that I don't want to jeopardize my sister's relationship because we do business together. So that's one of the lines that we draw, and I guess at the same time, because I take it, I also have this sentiment of because I have the responsibility and also in a way power, I always look I never tell this to my sisters, but I look after my sisters in a way, I don't want them to be going bad. And also that's my cousins and my uncles and all these family members, and because this is family business, because of their support from their bottom of the heart, that I can do what I can do is my understanding. Although I'm the only person in the business, I think it as a larger picture of a family.
So I work with my father on the weekly basis. Everyone loves working with their parents, I'm sure. But no, I'm kidding. It's going quite well. We see eye to eye on most things. On when it comes to KONE. Now I have 3 sisters as well. One of which is on the board of KONE, but it's there is this clear hierarchy that I am the person from my generation who is, has the responsibility for the family business. Now then we have a family office in which we will invest, and there's a couple of foundations that are sort of tangential to the family, and then they have different constellations of decision makers. For sure, good communication is absolutely crucial, like to the point of over communication is really crucial in these sort of situations. My father's generation, well, especially my grandfather, great businessman, terrible father. He created lots of rifts for my father's generation because of the lack of communication and because of the sort of single-minded vision of this is what the business needs, I don't care what the people need. So my parents, I think they learned from that, and they are, there's been a lot more communication, a lot more freedom for my generation to find our own way, and the sort of ongoing dialogue about where do people want to take their lives and where is the business going. Now, but about the business, so like I said, the ownership, I think family businesses sort of come in two main flavors. That the one is when suddenly at some point you have a consortium of 200 second cousins and nephews and nieces and in-laws and aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers, and the ownership is get diluted, and then you have this big sort of consortium of family members starting from the founder or whatever, and then in the case of KONE, actually the controlling ownership has been very sort of clearly gone from one person to the other down the generation, and that has been, we see that as a valuable method for ensuring that decision making agility is there and ensuring that the company works better. But I'm not, I understand that the different model can work for different families.
It's a really great question. Do we have time for one more?
Can I add something related to this? Sorry. I think the most important thing when it comes to family business is to have, first of all, a clarity of purpose and vision for the family as a whole, so everybody understands where we're going as a family, and clarity of roles, what each person contribution to this vision will be, whether in the business or as an owner or as a family member who supports their children or supports their next generation leaders. So once you have this clarity of roles and clarity of vision and everybody's aligned towards this vision, then it's much more easier to work towards achieving this vision.
Said, and I'm so sorry we don't have time for audience questions, but the panelists will be around. You can come up and ask them questions. I think one final aha moment for me is that while there's a lot for us to take away from the experience of our amazing panelists, there's more broadly a lot that we can learn about how we can apply this kind of mindset across various sectors and industries. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thank you everyone for coming.